So after thinking, what's the one thing I do in my business that has contributed to any success that I've had, I realized there's no secret sauce. And how in the world would I be able to stand here and talk to you about any of my successes when there's people in this room doing so much more than I am? So what is success? Well, to me, it's a journey. It's growth. It's propelling forward. It's showing up every day, and it's doing what you love to do. Gary Keller has written the platform for all of us. Thousands have succeeded before we did. Thousands of books have been written on how to succeed in this profession. Tens of thousands of YouTube videos have been made on lead generation, etc. Keller Williams is the #1 training company in every profession. You don't need a secret sauce. You have everything already. There's no way to expedite your success unless you do one thing first. You have to change your paradigm. According to Bob Proctor, paradigm is a multitude of habits that are lodged into your subconscious mind. They guide every move you make. They affect the way we eat, walk, even the way we talk. They govern your communication, your habits, your successes, and even your failures. And unfortunately, for most of us, they did not even originate with you. They were accumulated by the beliefs, the habits, the opinions of others that were here before you and who raised you, likely your parents, your guardian, the environment that you were in. Yet, they're the guiding force of your life. So allow me to explain with a story. Most of you in this room know that my mom worked at Grand Rapids Title while we were in the old office on Kenmore. And I started on a team, and when I left that team to be a single agent, I then too had an office on Kenmore. Every day I'd pass her office on the way to mine, and nearly every day she'd wait about 15 minutes, sneak back to my office, and make sure I had money for lunch that day or offer me half the lunch that she had packed for herself. She made sure I was able to pay my bills, and sometimes she would just say to me with tears in her eyes, "Oh, Brooke, maybe you just need to go get a full-time job." But she knew that the only thing worse than being broke to me was not fulfilling the idea of being a successful entrepreneur. I'm sure she worried more about me than I knew. And although she likely thought a 9-to-5 was the safer choice for me, she encouraged me every step of the way. Every time I walked out the door, she knew if I was going to a listing appointment, out with a buyer, or home to take care of my kids. And every time I left, her words were filled with phrases such as, "You go girl, go get it," etc. And nearly every night she left the office, I'd get a phone call while she was on her way home to ask me how it went. My mom was my biggest cheerleader. She wanted to see me succeed. She also desperately wanted to protect me and keep me safe. She worried not because she didn't believe in me, but because chasing a dream was not something that she was familiar with. My upbringing was a good one. I don't have a sob story to sit here and tell you about, or one to tell you about our hard times. We were middle class, had a home full of love, laughter, and of course the typical fights. I was one of 4 kids. We all graduated from the exact same university, and 3 of us have the exact same degree. Except for, of course, my sister, who has to be a one-upper always. She's the overachiever. She went to get her master's, yet still in the exact same major as what we all have. Coincidence? I don't think so, but I'll come back to that. Things for me changed drastically 5 years ago in January. I was at a training in Detroit, and I got the phone call at 8 a.m. "Your mom has been in a car accident." We quickly got up and left that training, receiving many frantic "where are you" phone calls, and made the 2-hour trip home, which felt like an eternity. After a week of hell, we did end up losing my mom. We lost our queen bee. I lost my biggest supporter. I lost the one who kept me safe, the one who knew all of my weaknesses, yet she was still my biggest cheerleader. The one who put me in my place when I needed it, but she loved me unconditionally. Many people may say that this was the absolute worst thing that could happen to a person, and it was awful. She was taken way too soon, and it rocked the world I lived in. It was a moment that I had to figure out a new normal. She wasn't a part-time grandma or a mom that I spoke to weekly. She was a co-parent. She was a co-worker. She was who I depended on. Well, if I'm being honest, for probably much more than most 30-somethings should depend on their mom for. It was also a moment that would change me forever, and it was up to me to decide how. After about 8 months of deep grief, although I still grieve, something inside me changed. I no longer had her to say, "You go, girl." I no longer had anyone coming to my office to be sure I had food, or that my bills were paid, or that my kids were fed. I found myself speaking to her every day anyway, and would imagine what she would say to me. I then found myself saying the same thing that she would say to me, to myself. I became my own cheerleader. I became my own biggest fan. I became the person who believed in me. It's one thing to have someone else say it to you. It's another thing to fully believe it yourself. I'm not talking rah-rah. I'm talking there is nothing else. Make this work, and you are worth it. After much personal growth, the need for change, digging deep on what it is that I'm here for, my purpose. I've learned that what we need to be successful is not one more tool or the correct CMA or the $1 million idea that's going to get you to the top. It's your paradigm. It's how we think. And this, my friends, is no easy thing to change. It takes a level of awareness. You can consciously know all the right things to do. We already do, right? But what stops you from doing them is in your unconscious mind. It's your paradigm. Most of what we believe is formed for us before we were even aware of it. It's no coincidence that I have the same degree from the same university as my siblings. It's no coincidence that all of our incomes are likely within $50,000 of each other. We all come from the same tree, so to speak. With that said, my mom's love and care for me, I was safe. I knew I'd never fail, as I'd always have food, my lights would always be on, and I'd always be loved unconditionally. So then why did I constantly feel like I was a lion in a cage? I didn't know why I felt that way at the time, but I knew I was frustrated and meant for more. I just didn't know what was stopping me from going after it. So I read and I attended mostly everything I could, as I knew that I needed to grow. I had it all figured out. Yet I was still feeling like I wasn't making progress on where I wanted to be. Do you remember feeling alive? Like really alive? What was it that made you feel that way? I believe that's not placed there by accident. I believe that's your purpose. And if we can't define what makes us feel alive, then we must be doing just the opposite. Slowly dying, and that's a scary thought. I'd say that's exactly how most people live. We live to keep our family and friends happy. We listen to their advice even if they don't have exactly what we want. We become a product of our own environments. And we justify why we aren't completely fulfilled because that's just for other people. Or it's selfish for me to want more since I'm blessed with so much already. Is it selfish? Is it selfish if it fulfills your purpose? What's selfish is not going after your passion. Living small is what's selfish. By not pursuing the talent that you were born with, you are cheating the world by not doing what you were born to do. Our Creator didn't handpick the top 1% and say, they'll change the world, but these small people over here, yeah, they're not made for that. Those people that change the world believe they could. They found their passion and they let nothing get in their way. So if everything in life is abundant, isn't it crazy to think that an abundant life is for other people? What makes them so special? I'll answer that for you. They figured out that they're worth it. They figured out that they can have anything they want in life, and they realized that in order for it to come into fruition, they must first see it in their minds, believe that it's already theirs, and work to achieve it. And I'm not talking about working harder or more. I'm talking about being focused on what they desire and saying no to anything else that's not in line with just that. And I mean professionally, personally, spiritually, everything. So I challenge you today to dig deep. Ask yourself what it is that you want. What makes you feel alive? What is it that sets your soul on fire? And if you're not sure, go back to your childhood. What did you dream about? So with that said, here's my secret sauce, my biggest lesson. I now think about what my mom would say to me today. And here's the kicker. She's with our Creator. She's free from the chains that were placed here on earth. She's free from the paradigm that she grew up with. And she is 100% her true self. What would she say to me now? Would she tell me to break free from all my own negative self-talk? Would she tell me to live fully? Would she tell me to make the difference that I know I'm placed here to do? I believe she would. I believe she wants me to fly. So before you look for the secret sauce or one thing that will propel your business the fastest, I know without a doubt that that comes from within. And when you ask yourself, how do I succeed? First know that you're worth it. Do what you love doing in your business. We're all unique. So what works for one person may not make you feel alive. If you love door knocking, do that. If you love calling expireds, do that. Whatever you do, just do it fiercely and do it consistently. If you love what you do it well. And know this, when you fixate on finding your purpose, on what makes you really feel alive, and you know you're worth it, the answers do come to you. Remember, this is a destination. The destination is not what's most important, it is the journey that's what's important. It's who you become in that journey. That's the sauce. So I'll leave you with this. Don't wait for your world to get rocked to decide to make a change. Everything we do is learned with repetition. Everything we do is habit. So here's 6 steps to help you change your paradigm. 1, think about a result you're getting that you don't want and ask yourself what behaviors or habits are causing that result. 2, write that behavior out in crystal clear detail. 3, ask yourself what habit or behavior is the polar opposite of the behavior you just identified. 4, write out the new behavior on another sheet of paper. 5, burn the paper. Tear it up that contains the bad habit. And 6, write the positive habit out 4 or 5 times a day. And yes, that many times. Read it frequently. You will eventually lodge that idea into your subconscious mind. Thanks.
Wow.